Well, one of those mothers who lost a child in this tragedy is Julie Rawlings, and she joins us this morning. Julie, first of all, I'm so sorry that you had to go through this, and we're incredibly grateful that you are being brave enough to talk to us about it this morning. If it's not too hard for you, do you mind telling us a little bit about what happened to you at that hospital in 2002?
Obviously, we lost our daughter through a failed ventouse and forceps delivery. Olivia was born with catastrophic injuries, injuries that she was never going to survive. We knew, hindsight, we knew something was wrong when the consultant started to panic and was shouting out, "Don't do this to me." And then obviously as Olivia was born, there was no sound, but nobody was telling us what was going on.
You know, you were there at the centre of all this, Julie. It's happening to your body. Your child is being delivered. Were you aware? Were you fearful during that time that this isn't as it should be? I mean, I know from personal experience that the ventouse extraction it's quite vigorous. It can be quite violent as well. It's not what you would choose. How worried were you at the time?
We were very worried because I had been told no longer than 12 hours in natural labour. They left me for 23 hours. It's because I had a back complaint. I had 19 epidurals. So there were signs that something wasn't quite right. When they came in and said that she was presenting back to back, they wanted to turn her. They hadn't examined me, so she was too high. She was still 2/5 palpable. When he went in with the ventouse, which we found out later. My husband, he was the one, obviously he's there too. He said everything in him was screaming, this isn't normal. But because it was her first baby, you put your trust in the experts because you think they know what they're doing. And we wish now that we'd said something. Because after the ventouse, he was supposed to go to section. He said if it failed, he would go to section. And he didn't. He went straight in with forceps. But they say that the ventouse coming off actually fractured her skull.
Oh, and just to explain to anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, this ventouse, basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, it's like a vacuum extraction of the child, on its head.
That's right, and it can help to turn if a child is lying back to back, which can make it difficult for natural delivery. They normally at 1/5 palpable can go in with a ventouse and turn the baby so the baby's presenting the right way, but that failed because she was too high.
I mean, Julia, clearly you should have had that C-section and you were badly let down. Here we are 20 years on. You should have a beautiful 20-year-old daughter, and I can only imagine the terrible tragedy and suffering that you've experienced as a result of this. You say that you didn't speak out at the time. Completely understandable. Why would you? There was no reason for you to believe that there was anything other than, just a tragedy happening there. When did it become clear to you then that there was something much more sinister here? And, this was early on in all of this.
It was my father. It was definitely my father. My father was there when after we'd had her baptised. They told us that she wasn't going to make it. So we went through, my mum took me through because I'd seen her, but I'd never held her because they'd been doing all sorts of things on her. And when we went through and I took her bonnet off, that was when we could start to see some of the injuries that she had. And it was my father that he demanded that someone come down because he said it was far wrong. What he was seeing was far wrong. And that there was no way they were going to get away with this.
You could see, Julie, you could see all that. Did you get the impression, and we talk about failings at the hospital trust, did you get the impression that this was a team well led, that a team that was well trained, a team that had confidence? What was your impression? I mean, you know, no one sets out to do wrong, but some people can be out of their depth or they haven't got leadership. What was your general feeling about those who were tending to you?
We had a room full of experts that day when we got to theatre, and not one of them spoke up. At the trial, they spoke up. They said that I was supposed to have a consultant. I ended up with a registrar, and at the trial they explained he had his foot off the floor on the bottom of the bed while he was pulling with these forceps. Everybody round about him could see what was going on, and nobody stepped in, not one person. And through the night as well, they were going on about my notes being in a terrible state and it would take them half the night to sort them out. We were being told one thing and then they were doing another. They put in my notes that they'd given me Syntocin. There was never another bag put up. The only bag it was up was because I'd had the epidurals.
To relax, is it?
Just a lot of different things that day weren't sitting right with us, but we didn't. We just went with what they said. We thought that was how it was done, and it wasn't till after that we realised. No.
Yeah, it's so awful, as Isabel said. You know, for you to have to recount all of this again. With the publishing of the report yesterday, is there any satisfaction at all that you get, or is it all just continually too painful for you?
It's a mixture, a roller coaster of emotions to do with the report, because it's bittersweet. The outcome of the report is incredible. It's incredible for a lot of families. Like us as well. But we, unfortunately, to get to where we are, families like ourselves have had to relive this pain. And I feel that until we're provided evidence that the changes are being implemented on a regular basis, the changes stipulated within the Ockenden report, we can see that they've been taken on board and being actioned with immediate effect. This can't wait. This has to be implemented. Until then, I don't know how we move forward.
Mm-hmm.